Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are the go-to platforms for most social media campaigns. But to reach specific audiences, such as those who may need family planning support services in underserved communities, alternative digital platforms can help cast a wider net to amplify your message and drive greater campaign outcomes. Welcome to the Ad-Libber podcast, featuring conversations of influence. Some of it planned, much of it ad-libbed.
Welcome back to the Ad-Libber podcast, where we focus on branding and communications topics. I'm your host, Jay Scott. Joining me today is co-host Jess Staub, who will introduce our special guests on the topic of digital marketing campaigns and how tactics are evolving to better reach target audiences.
Thanks, Jay. As Jay mentioned, I'm Jess Staub. I'm with Gavin, and I am thrilled to introduce today's Ad-Libber guests. We have Tasha Hicks and Casey Schneider. Tasha, you've been with Family Health Council of Central Pennsylvania since 2011. You're the Vice President of Health Networks, and you also serve as the Title X Family Planning Director, sitting on the board of the National Family Planning and Reproductive Health Association. You enjoy spending time with your family when you're not at work, and you're a native of Central Pennsylvania, just like our other guest, Casey. Casey, you're the Director of Provider Relations for the Family Planning and Reproductive Health Program at Family Health Council. You've been there since 2013, and I know you spend a lot of time with your 1-year-old daughter, Zoe, and also your husband of 4 years. So that just gives a little introduction to both of you, but I was hoping that you both could fill us in a little bit more about what Family Health Council is and its role in family planning services as well.
Okay, so Family Health Council of Central Pennsylvania, we are a nonprofit organization located in Camp Hill. And to kind of put it simply, we are the middleman between our state and federal governments with grant dollars to support different programs. We currently have a 24-county region in Central Pennsylvania. So if you think of it like the middle triangle of Pennsylvania, from Center County all the way over to Somerset, and then kind of York and Lancaster in the bottom right there. We have family planning services, we have WIC programs, supplemental nutritional programs, HIV programs, housing programs, most recently OUD programs as well. I don't know if I'm missing anything there, Tasha, that you wanted to.
No, I think you summed it up as a prime contractor or middleman. I love that description. We definitely ensure that all of the administrative requirements are met, including like invoicing, technical assistance, regulatory compliance. And it allows our partners to really just focus on what they do best, which is serving the clients. For our federal and state funders, it allows them to have the ability to contract with one person, and we have the ability to pull together a diverse service network that they would never be able to pull together. What kind of health networks do you see that have hospitals and college-based clinics and independent clinics and social service agencies and FQHCs all under one contract? Finally, I think for both our partners and our funders, they can depend on our expertise and support because the Family Health Council does have 48 years that we've successfully served as a Title X grantee of Central Pennsylvania.
Let's talk a little bit about family planning campaigns, specifically recent campaigns. Talk about what you want to achieve from those kind of efforts, and how does digital marketing factor into reaching your audiences?
So we know originally we approached this because our Title X network had undergone some changes. Some new providers, some providers opted out of the program, and we really wanted to get the word out that you still can get high quality family planning services in Central PA. And Casey, I didn't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, so for me originally when we started everything, family planning and kind of Family Health Council in general didn't really have any social media or any kind of media, anything, platform, footprint, anything for us. And so we kind of took our little baby steps into it. And so I think it was really important for us just to kind of have a brand in that sense. Because nowadays, unfortunately, we're in a time where if you Google something and they don't have a Facebook, and I'm probably dating myself by using Facebook first, but if they don't have a Facebook, if they don't have an Instagram, if they don't have Twitter, whatever, they're a little sketchy. Like, I don't, for me, that's how it would feel. So we wanted to make sure that we're modernizing our program to kind of keep up with the clients that we serve.
It's kind of adding that credibility to FHCCP that wasn't there before, because now you've got, these other channels where you can find it that you couldn't find it before. And that kind of brings us into the next question. So you mentioned you were taking those baby steps, you were learning along the way. What have you learned since you started digital marketing? It's been a few years now. And how do you think that's really helped to amplify your message?
For me, I'm just very surprised at how quickly things can change and things need to be adjusted. And I'm really grateful that we had partners with Gavin to help us do that, especially with the pandemic. We had a lot of social media campaigns that we wanted to do. We wanted to do things with prom and with spring break. Obviously, since all those things were canceled and our main target audience was that 15 to 24. So your high school kids, your college seniors, all those things are kind of being taken away from them. And we were able to easily and quickly change our blog posts, our social media posts. But that just like surprises me how quickly it can do that. Like, no one ever expects a pandemic to come around, but it could be something else. It could be, I can't even think of an example because I feel like everything's happened in 2020. So anything that happened in 2020 has happened, and we were able to quickly to adjust to that.
I agree, Casey. I think the adaptability, and also for me, being my first digital campaign for this particular program, really it shocked me of how it reaches audiences in a way that traditional marketing campaigns don't. So when we went to make those switches, it wasn't like, oh, we have all the printing materials done or all the posters are done and it's too late. It was very easy to switch gears in the middle of the pandemic. And I think it was a great idea to actually use some of the digital ads with Latino connections and be able to reach the Latinx community with the same digital campaign during the pandemic. So it was, I think that's also, I can just say that's what I learned as well. I think we can talk about the specific platforms because I think taking our message digitally to specific platforms that we normally would not have done a traditional marketing campaign or even a digital marketing campaign, it gave us access to an audience that we normally would not have come in contact with, who may not have normally come across our digital campaign, and they were able to be driven to our providers. So I think that was a smart move. We looked at how well it was for the HIV campaign and really kind of adopted some of those same methods, and it turned out really well.
Yeah, I would say, and Tash and I were talking about this earlier this week, that I think what I like most about the different platforms and the niche platforms that we went with is that we're trying to take, I don't want to say negativity, but like the shamefulness out of sex, honestly, and relationships and having a baby, not having a baby, having your family choosing a different method of birth control that maybe your parents don't approve of or your friends are trying to talk you into. I think that there's so many things that people can be ashamed of nowadays that we don't get to talk to them about. And so having the blogs and having the Instagram posts really help kind of connect to clients that we really wouldn't have the chance to before.
Based on what you've learned in the last couple of years, and especially on this campaign, what do you think marketing will look like for family planning campaigns in the future? I mean, you've done a lot. Obviously, you mentioned some of the niche platforms and other ways in which you're trying to reach those audiences that maybe haven't interacted with you in the past. What's the future hold in terms of messaging based on what you've learned here?
I think we need to be more inclusive. I think that we have, again, baby stepped into this area and trying to get more diversity in terms of people of color, but I don't know how well we've gone into our trans folks. I don't know how well we've gone into, I can tell you we haven't. We haven't really been inclusive of people with disabilities, whether that's mental health disabilities, physical disabilities. I think that in order to really reach everyone, we need to include everyone. How we do that, I have no idea. But I think that that's our next step is we need a bigger net.
I think along those lines, being more inclusive, I think how we see marketing moving forward is we wanted people to be able to look at this campaign and see a glimpse of themselves or someone they know, and to send the messaging out that family planning is different for everyone, whether it's birth control, natural family planning, an IUD, and then, to try to capture family planning under the full scope, meaning capturing reproductive lifespan for a woman, which the World Health Organization defines as 15 to 49, but looking and capturing family planning in each of those age segments, I think is important as well. And I agree with Casey that embracing and reflecting the diversity of what a family is also important.
I think that's an important, point there you make about, you're trying to humanize, you're trying to relate to folks in a different way, right? I mean, in many cases, there are groups that you probably feel isolated, like there's nobody really talking to them, and you're trying to really do that through these efforts. And this kind of campaign, these recent initiatives probably help advance that a little quicker. At least that's my interpretation of it. Would you guys agree with that? And are there other adjustments in the messaging you think will maybe get us there a little sooner?
Well, one of the things that we try to approach is incorporating reproductive justice as part of the messaging. And Sister Song, which is the organization, a group of women that came up with that term, really defined it as the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, whether to have children, not to have children, and to parent them really in a safe and sustainable environment. In family planning in general, we talk about access to different things and not particularly focusing on choice. But even when you have situations in states where pregnancy termination is available, it may not be available to women of color or people that can't afford it, or they can't travel to get it. So with reproductive justice, it's kind of putting that message out there is if there's no choice, there's no access. And so really just kind of focusing the campaign and looking in a direction that really includes all the marginalized people in our communities, whether they live in rural or urban areas. It's really important, I think, that our campaign and marketing messages from here on out really not only encompass it, but embrace it and make it mainstream and acceptable.
And I would add to that too, not just having more inclusivity with the people that we're trying to reach, but also the services that family planning provides. Tasha had touched on it too, that I'm sure a lot of people think family planning, oh, birth control, oh, STD test, but we also provide services for preconception health. So people that are looking to have a child, what they can do in advance of that, infertility options, screening for breast and cervical cancer, things like that. So I think that those items are often forgotten or maybe not even known about. So I think also being more inclusive of all the services that we provide.
I think it's a great educational process for a lot of folks. It wakes you up and really gets you thinking about it. And these campaigns are very effective at it. And we certainly appreciate you guys talking through the perspective of how they work, type of messaging you're looking to get out there, and obviously the new ways in which we're doing that. So thank you both for coming on the Ad Libber and talking to us about this topic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Ad Libber podcast. To find new episodes and get more content from our team here at Gavin, make sure to visit our website at adlibberpodcast.com. The Ad Libber is also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.